Welcome back to another edition of The Mind of Opex. In this video, I want to talk about legalize it, baby. Legalize it? What is it that I want to legalize? Well, everything. I think everything should be legal. I don't think there should be some, mafia telling you that what you can do and what you can't do and what you get fined for, and if you do this, you need a permit. I don't believe in any of that. But what I want to legalize in this video is the devil's lettuce, cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to put in my efforts in this video to explain what I think is rational about the Legalize It movement, which, of course, as you already know, many states have already legalized it for recreational use outside of medicinal use. But there's many uses of cannabis, from hemp to oils to whatever it is, right? There's a million and one things you can do with the plant. And the plant is overwhelmingly a positive plant for humanity. It can be put to our use in many different facets. Now, I'm 100% legalize it guy. Right? I don't think it hurts a fucking fly. But there are the powers that be that, of course, does not want this plant readily available. Let's just start with like Big Pharma. Big Pharma is going to lose a lot of business because Big Pharma is going to be competing with cheap cannabis. Now, of course, you already know Big Pharma could be selling you pills. I've heard of pills that are over $100 a pill. It's just they've been raping the market. They've had a conglomerate of corporations, that stick together and, one does one thing, one does another thing, and they stay in their own lane. They reduce competition because they all fall under the umbrella of Big Pharma, right? So Big Pharma essentially has no competition, and whatever competition that they have is they try to reduce and try to litigate and try to examine what we need to do to get them out of there, and then they are in bed with government to make that happen. So Big Pharma pays government. Of course, many of you guys already know that, lobbyists and shit. And they get the bills passed and the things passed that they need to. Big Pharma does not want legalization of marijuana and cannabis. Reason being is because they're going to be losing billions of dollars. Now, there's that industry, and we can dive into that all day. I rather want this to be a short video. You can do your own research. I'm not here to plug you research and this person had this study. I'm not doing that for you guys. Never will. This is the Mind of Opex. But you can do any research you want. I'm not up here lying to you. But the point is, Big Pharma's losing a huge chunk of their patients, their profits, and their monopoly. So, with that said, there's other avenues where cannabis is hurting the big powers that be. Oil. Of course, we already know that oil is a huge market. In fact, we have fought wars and wars over oil. Familiar with the petrodollar? Petro meaning, petroleum gas, liquid fuel, fossil fuels, which, if you guys are new to my channel, you don't know what I think about fossil fuels. There's almost no such thing as fossil fuels. But anyways, point is, oil industry is greatly impacted by if cannabis was to be legalized. You have oils that is essentially can replace all oils, from your engine oils to any type of oil, and it'll produce a lot cleaner emissions. So it's going to be a lot cleaner on the engine, make your engines last longer. Again, we can umbrella that down and have a pyramid of who gets affected by that profit margin. All the way down to, car manufacturers, right? They want you to buy a new car. right? They don't want your car to last forever, because then they're like, okay, well, I got their $20,000 for that brand new car, and guess what? I ain't gonna see him for 60 years until like the technology is just so good you can't pass it up, right? So of course it's affecting the fuel, it's affecting oil, it's affecting manufacturers, and of course it's gonna be a lot cheaper than the modern oil industry and how that's operated. And just check out the oil field. Look at those price margins, and drilling, and essentially it's not sustainable, right? But as of right now, it's pretty damn sustainable. I haven't really heard of many oil wells that have dried up. Just haven't really heard of them, right? Oh, they stopped drilling in Texas, now they're up in North Dakota. You don't really hear that. You hear, well, that's the same fucking oil well for 40, 50 years, so they can continually produce profits, and it's going to be at a much higher margin than, let's say, hemp, which, of course, if you're already looking at what I'm saying here, is that medicinally wise and, of course, oil wise, those two combine in one plant. There's another one. Outside of the oil, there is also hemp products. This would be bags. This would be paper products. This would be 1,000,001 different products. You can create seats with your hemp. There's 1,000,001 clothes. There's 1,000,001 sources or things you can do with hemp. So that would be number 3. So 3 things. You produce a whole 100 acres of this plant. And in one season, you take it all out of there, and for that one plant, you have weed, you have medicinal drugs, you have oils, you have products, you have 1,000,000 different things that you have right there. And for each plant is producing all of that. So then you're going to have, the paper industry, the logging industry. They're going to be up in arms. So, of course, they're lobbying to the government. You better make sure that you don't legalize it. So, now that you're understanding, before this fucking gets out of hand and we're already 7.5 minutes in, you understand why they want to not legalize it. Because it's going to destroy it's going to destroy the profit margins, it's going to destroy their monopolies, it's going to destroy their elitehood. Let's just say their comfortability at the top. So of course, when you're looking at this, you got to understand that they are going to do everything in their power to not legalize it, and because the government is still paid by all these lobbyists and get tons and tons of money by these lobbyists. Of course, there isn't a Legalize It movement that's giving the government millions, if not billions of dollars to swing it their way. People aren't doing it. People don't have the money. But these big corporations do. And that's why I hate fucking government, is because these big corporations can be as big as they want, but if there is no government, they can't tell me what I can or can't do, right? So, that's why I'm anti-government, not anti-corporate. But the point is, there isn't the pushback to pay the government on our side to legalize it, right? So the government is still producing, okay, well, you can grow your pot, but it has to be this amount of pot. And at any given time, we can take all your shit from you and all your profits and say, now it's illegal. And this mafia would do shit like that because they've already done it. Talk to some of these people in Colorado and shit. They've been shut down. Wyoming, they've been shut down. Even if it's medicinal, like in Michigan, they've been shut down. And for what? They didn't do anything illegal. But they make the law very, very picky. Okay, well, you can only have this amount of plants growing at a single time. Well, I need to grow my next batch. You can't do that until the other stuff is harvested and deleted out of your own property. And then you can start growing. So then there's all this time where you don't have products. And that's just talking about the herbs and the flowers. But nonetheless, that's what they're restricting you to, is essentially the buds. They don't want you to start a hemp business. Now, there are hemp businesses in America. There's been for, many, many years. I remember as a kid, in 1999, I remember a kid was like, oh, this is some hemp lotion, some girl, and she's putting this on her hands, and she gave it to me, and I was like, wow, this is real nice. And I remember hemp bags and many hemp products and hemp wallets, many hemp products, right? When I was a kid. This was before it was starting to get a little bit swinging in our direction, our Legalize It direction, our freedom direction. But nevertheless, the government is creating so many rules, whether it's federal or state. Of course, it's always going to be illegal federally because, there's not enough money coming in from our side to pay the federal fucking mafia. So, the federal's always going to say, no, it's illegal, but the state can kind of undermine them. So, with that aspect of the state undermining, they still have some rules that they can't let people just limitless acres and acres and acres in their backyard of cannabis. You can't do that still. So it's not free, we're in the right direction, but we're still letting the government say what we can or not do with seeds. I'm gonna let you guys fucking take a fucking thought process break on that one. Well, I can do, there's a seed, government says no, you're like, there's so much profits, there's so much we can do, there's so many cancer we can cure, there's so much things positive from the seed. Grow it and we're good. Nope, you can only be allowed this amount of plants in this small region, and you're heavy regulated if you're in the business. Just go to YouTube, just type in people that are in the business and they'll tell you the fucking truth. It's heavily regulated. They can take your shit at any time they want. So, it's one of those things. It's like, is it legal or is it a trap? You understand? Because if it was legal, then just let me fucking grow as much as I want. Fuck the government type shit, right? So as of right now, a lot of people are like, oh, it's legal enough. In California, you can go to a dispensary. That dispensary can give you all types of, edibles or herbs or whatever. All you have to do is show ID, and it's fine, right? I think you got to be of a certain age. That's essentially the only requirement, right? I don't know if you can do it if you're a felon, which is stupid to me because you can still grab a beer if you're a felon. But don't quote me on that one. I don't know. I think it's maybe another state that's like that. I don't remember. I'm just giving you information, right? I could be wrong. But the point is, there's so many benefits, but they want to keep that illegal. They want to make sure that you can't do as much with it. Yes, can one grower / dispensary be a millionaire after 1 year? Sure. Yes, you can. But they want to stop it so they're not really hurting the oil industry, really hurting big pharma, etc., right? Now, a lot of doctors can grow in many different states. They can grow up to like 3 plants, for example. And if they ever have 4 plants, they can lose their license, go to prison, etc. Fucked up, right? It's almost like a speeding ticket in terms of like, okay, well, if you go 15 over, you're fine. It's not a misdemeanor. But you go 16 over, it's a misdemeanor. And you got to go get convicted as a crime. So, it's like that. It's like, oh, that's fine. But, one little thing, you start growing one little seed a little early, boom, they'll take all your fucking plants, they'll take your home away from you, you lose your license. Is it a trap? It's probably a trap. Oh, you should just obey the rules, though. You should just obey what they say because at least we're headed in the right direction. And when people go above and beyond and don't read the laws and shit, it ruins it for everyone. I get that argument, but we need to say essentially this isn't good enough. this isn't good enough. Because now, for example, if weed got legal in New York, is where I'm living right now, I'm getting out of the truck immediately and I'm starting my own business. Immediately. Because I've grown lots of pot in the past. I know exactly how to do it. I'm very good at it. And I could have my own dispensary and it'll do everything legal. But if New York just says, yeah, you're limited to one plant. Okay, well, I grow one little seed and it ends up being male or a hermaphrodite. Boom, I just wasted a month of my life. Now we got to start from scratch, do it over. One plant? What the fuck is going on here? Right? I remember I got robbed once when I was living in the ghetto. I got robbed because these kids on the block thought I was living in a trap house. And for whatever reason, and I can't tell you why, but my brother's girlfriend called the cops. And as soon as she goes, as she's already dialing, this is after the fact. In the ghetto, you don't call the cops. Especially if thugs just robbed drug dealers. You don't call the cops. But she thought it was smart at like 17 years old to be like, I'm calling the cops as she's already ringing. And we're like, no, we stop it. Anyways, the cops come and they start looking and peeking around. I was 20 at the time, I think. And so I'm 20 years old. I don't really know the law. I don't really know. All we were saying is, yeah, we got robbed. She got scared. She called you. We were scared and we told her to hang up the phone. We told these cops whatever, just to save our ass. But then they started snooping in our house, where I was renting, this house that I was renting. And cops start snooping, and it goes directly into the grow room. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing going in there? And he was following some of the blood because, there's guns involved, fights, pistol whipping, shit like that. And so there was blood. And he was following the blood, and it was right in front of my grow room, which I did turn off the grow lamp. But, of course, he had to open it. I should have locked it. I wasn't thinking, but I wasn't thinking about them snooping. I was thinking about having to deal with cops now about drugs. But snooped into my grow room and goes, oh, look at what we have here. That's why you guys got robbed. So the young boys on the block wasn't able to see my grow room. Not like they could even do anything with it anyways. It's not like it was budding yet. But point is, they find my shit and they're like, Eureka! We get to break your shit, steal your shit. And that's what they did. They took my grow light ball, went in my basement, smashed it right in front of me. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Being like, this gives you authority to be a dick? Because I'm growing something that has no effect on your life or anyone's life? But anyways, the point is that those cops thought that they stopped like a big drug ring or something because I had like 6 plants growing. And I'm like, you broke my shit, you steal my plants that have been growing for like 2 months, and for what? For what? Another thing that cops can just go above and beyond and they are granted the authority to bully you, to break your shit because of a plant. Think about it. What's that plant doing to you? It's doing something to me. If I smoke it, if I don't smoke it, nothing. And if I deal it to somebody else, that's an adult that was like, okay, I have money, I wanted marijuana, and I bought it from, a guy that isn't going to rob him or create any chaos or problems. Because it's illegal, so it gets fucking fishy when it gets illegal, right? Well, if it's not illegal, and I was able to sell freely, without a license, without permits, without, limitations, etc., without taxation, I could sell to my friends, and we wouldn't think anything of it. It It would be natural. It would be like me growing tomatoes. If I was growing tomatoes, you know, and my friends are like, oh man, it was this price at the grocery store for fucking, you know, sprayed with chemicals and, you know, GMO tomatoes, and they're all rotten. Well, I have some nice organic beefsteak tomatoes or whatever. You know, I can sell some to you. And if the government's not involved, that's a great, you know, here's a pound of tomatoes. Thanks for the money. We're both happy having an adult interaction. What's the problem? Because, like I said in the beginning, there is a conspiracy to keep this illegal. Originally, it was illegal because we had a huge cannabis market in the United States. It wasn't recreational use marijuana, but it was more along the lines of hemp. Those hemp products were really cheap, really durable, light, and of course, I've even seen, you can go on YouTube, there are cars with their frames made out of hemp. So there's 1,000,001 uses for it, and to force people to not be able to participate in this market is ridiculous. And we need to stand up. And of course, if we do all stand up and people don't have that whole idea like marijuana's bad, marijuana's a gateway drug. First off, yes, there are cons in marijuana. But all of those cons that I see isn't based on gateway drugs. I mean, that's the only real big con, I'll just say. But the majority of the cons is not even to us. It's to liberate us, which is pro, but it's to remove dependence on these powers that be. These huge corporations like Big Pharma, these huge corporations like Big Oil, and you know, which all trickle down to every other aspect of this industry, of you know, the whole economy, to everything. And if you just said, everybody, it's legal now, do whatever the fuck you want with it, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot more entrepreneurs, there's going to be a lot more money. If they didn't tax it, that would be even greater, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers, which I understand about the whole, you know, at least you can go to a dispensary and get a pop brownie. I get that. In some states, I get that. We're making improvements. But here's the thing. The government doesn't ever want to give you more. They want to take some. So if you are going to be able to profit in this, they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, that's taxation. I get more money out of this. Sure, we'll do it. As long as it doesn't hurt my, you know, the people that are giving me money in terms of the corporations, as long as it doesn't hurt that relationship. And of course, if you're paying enough money in taxes, yeah, we can have an equal balance. So that's one way to fight it, is going to, you know, Washington, D.C., you know, on a federal level, and say, hey, come on, guys. Come on. Enough's enough. Like, you're exposed. You know, you're getting money from these lobbyists that you guys literally will fund through taxpayer dollar and lobbyists wars to control oil, to make sure that this doesn't happen, because there's freedom in this. And if this gets full-fledged freedom, we're just going to keep running over the government. But that's not what they want. And a lot of people are scared to run over the government, which I don't understand why. You know, the government isn't to be feared. The government is someone that is a group of people, a mafia, that should be bowing down to us, essentially, like seeking approval from us. But I'm anti-government altogether, so that's beside the point. Anyways, I'm not going to go in through like all the health benefits or the health negatives, but I will say that there's a lot of pros and cons. You can always look it up. And of course, marijuana isn't going to hurt anyone. It is only going to hurt those big businesses that have a conglomerate of industries all working together to create a monopoly through which that they exploit smaller companies, and they exploit people, so everybody is aligned to do their bidding. The reason for this is so that they stay powerful, you have less rights, you have less control, and they have control. And imagine having control of the monopoly of force called government, the big mafia monopoly of force called government. And if you have control of that, you're going to be at the top. You're going to be number one. Something as simple as cannabis can change all of that. Now, of course, it's not going to change everything. We need to get rid of the federal government. You know, that's a step in the right, that's beyond a step in the right direction. That is like freedom, you know, but we'll still be succumb to the little feeble hands of the state. Anyways, so I guess that's enough for this video. I wanted it to be short, about this long anyways, so that's enough for this video. My understanding is that there is absolutely no positive for us to keep it illegal. If you want to talk about it being a gateway drug, of course it can be a gateway drug. It was a gateway drug for me. It was, oh, marijuana made me feel this great. Let me try this. Oh, that made me feel even better. I even remember in high school, it wasn't DMT, it was Alright, so I always would smoke pot from the age of 13 all through high school, right? And I remember this kid would smoke pot with us, but then he would be like, I don't really like it. But he always thought about wanting something else other than pot. And he took these pills that made him trip. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was. Maybe DXM? Something like that. And I remember him going to school. He goes, oh, it beat the fuck out of pot. I'll never smoke pot again. And I'm thinking to myself, those are pills. Those are really bad. And it just kept making me think, like, that's legal. That bad shit's legal. Alcohol is legal. All this legal shit is terrible for you. Your doctors will prescribe you fucking heroin. But this is illegal? This shit? That makes you a little hungry? Makes you not as good in public? Tops? You know, it doesn't affect your driving or anything like that, but, you know, there's always this saying that I always used to say. A drunk would blow right through a stop sign, but a pothead would stop at that stop sign and wait for it to turn green. I'll leave you with that. That should prove my point right there. What's legal and what's not legal. How much money is in DWIs. How much money is in alcohol. And they tried to get rid of that too, the prohibition. Which, I'm pro legalize everything. Legalize crack. Get it out of dispensaries. No, I'm not that big on it, but essentially legalize everything. Everything. And if you don't legalize pot, then, you know, I understand the other stuff. But legalize pot? This? A seed? A plant that is natural? I don't understand. I don't understand why there isn't more independently thinking, rational minds. Being like, yo, looking at it objectively, yo, look at this. Why is this illegal? Why? It doesn't mean you have to do it, right? If it was legal, you know what I would do? I'd probably smoke it once every 4 or 5 months. This is a nightcap. Not to get fucking crazy on it, like I used to, which there's nothing wrong with that either. You can do whatever you want. You can drink and become an alcoholic, wake up with the shakes, but weed's the bad thing? Anyways, enough for this video. It went way too long. I just wanted to make a few points out there. And yeah, I got tons of content still to come. Stay tuned for that content. Plenty more coming. See you guys.